Good morning. Road trip. We are headed to Minot, North Dakota. About a year ago, I found out about an airworthy P-40 that served with the 11th Fighter Squadron, and it's located in Minot. It's always been in the back of my mind to arrange a trip to go and see it. They also have a P-47, which has also been on my list because Bob Brocklehurst, he flew P-47s after he came back from the Aleutians. He commanded an operational training unit over on the East Coast, and they were actually deployed to the European theater. As they were getting ready to leave, their deployment was canceled because the war was ending. So he loved flying the P-47. Talked about how great it was, how you could bring, it was so big that you could bring your umbrella, your grandma, your lunch, everything with it. Oh, funny. So Bob Brocklehurst's family is also meeting me there at the museum. They live just outside Minneapolis, and so they're just driving up. I invited several other families that I know from the 11th Fighter Squadron. I don't believe anyone else is able to make it. And again, this trip was very short notice because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get away. So my intention is for this to be the first visit and actually plan well in advance a second visit and invite all the family members. Because just like with the Royal Canadian Air Force squadrons, American squadrons, especially early on, so this plane was in Alaska in the spring of 1942. They didn't have assigned planes. They flew whatever was serviceable. And so that means many of them would have flown it. And actually, I think this plane flew up with the 11th Fighter Squadron and then ended up with the 18th Fighter Squadron, which is what happened to the P-40s that first came up in January. They split up between the 18th and the 11th Fighter Squadron. Super excited. I mean, I can remember seeing my grandfather's plane for the first time, sitting in it, knowing that his bottom was sitting in the same seat that I was sitting in. And so now for the Brocklehurst family to have the same experience, I don't know. I hope they're just as thrilled as I am, or I was. So yeah, why not? Let's go. So Minot is located in the northwest section of North Dakota, about 200 miles from Grand Forks, a city I frequently visited being from Winnipeg. It's about a 6-hour drive from Winnipeg, which takes you through some of the most peaceful and serene farm countrysides. It was rather relaxing, barely encountered any traffic. Minot is also home to the Minot Air Force Base. I was surprised as we approached Minot how many rolling hills the area had. When I think of North Dakota, I think of flatland and prairies, not Minot. Minot is also home to the Dakota Territory Air Museum, where the P-40 lives, along with many other aircraft. It's quite an impressive collection. We are minutes away from leaving for the Dakota Territory Air Museum. The Brocklehurst family is here with me, and I'm super excited to show them the airplane that their dad flew. As I mentioned before, several pilots from the 18th Fighter Squadron would have flown this aircraft. At that time, early in the war, and especially in the Aleutians, there were a lot of unserviceable planes that didn't make it, broke down, they didn't have parts. So whatever aircraft were ready and serviceable were on alert, and those pilots would fly whatever was available to them. So Brocklehurst family would have flown this plane. They have evidence that Lieutenant Dennis Crisp flew the plane because he crashed the plane. I'm sure Jack Chenault would have flown the plane. In fact, I believe Jack was the one who went back to the back to the lower 48, as we say in Alaska, back to the lower 48 to pick up the plane in March, because that's when it arrived into Alaska. It was picked up and taken to Kodiak first, because that's where the 18th were, and then eventually in May, the 18th sent a detachment to Cold Bay. And so the plane ended up in Cold Bay, and that's where it actually had its landing accident, which put it out of service. Bernard is another family that I've been in contact with who probably would have flown the plane also. So they were all invited, but this trip was very last minute due to the family situation that I had over in Canada. I'm going to plan a larger, kind of more family reunion, where hopefully we can get many family members to come and visit the aircraft and maybe come fly, and some details to work out there. But, you know, I dream big. So it's a foggy and windy and rainy day, but we're going to bring some sunshine to Minot through World War II aircraft.
We need to have a photo of all three.
Are you guys ready? Yes, we're ready. Have fun. Thank you. Let's go see an airplane.
Can we touch it?
Yeah, you're going to sit in it. Yeah, you're going to sit in it. No, hopefully they'll have a staircase for you, because the P-40's wing is pretty high.
And the weather is just like Atchee today.
Yes, exactly. I have some Aleutian weather, low fog, just missing the snow.
Yeah. You know, every time I see one of these, it's just like, it's so impressive because you know what the size was and
How courageous they were to get in something.
yeah.
So
Well, at the time, that was leading edge technology.
yeah,
That was,
and now we see this crew that just like how
exactly.
they risk their lives.
You think about especially the Alaska stuff, the Aleutian stuff. The mechanics at the end of the night, or whenever they were done running, they'd drain the oil and the coolant out of them and go and put all that stuff in a warm hut, and then when it was time to fly it, they'd go dump it back in, and that's how they warmed the engines up.
Yep. Minutes before it was going to be used.
Yeah. Sit on the wing.
So this P-40, serial number 415709, was struck off service in September of 1943 when it was involved in a landing accident. The pilot at the time, Dennis Crisp, had just completed a 2-ship element patrol. He landed first on the left side of the runway, and he was hit behind by his wingman, Lieutenant Arbuthnot. The airplane was salvaged for parts, then sent back to the base dump on Cold Bay, where it sat for decades until aviation architect Dick Odgers arrived to dig it up in 1987.
Stand up there and hang on to the windshield, and then you can kind of lower yourself down in either by these handrails or by the canopy top. Oh, yeah, now you can just kind of stand up there.
Now, you know, if your dad did it at 96, you can do this, Bob. There you go. Oh my gosh. What do you think, Bob?
You know, I don't think it's going to be my next car.
No, but you look so good in it.
This is really this is very special. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Before you get out. You can go ahead and push it up if you want, like that, and move the stick.
Oh, so I'm moving the...
Yeah, you're moving the elevator, and that's all clear. And put your feet up on the rudder pedals too. You see the pedals there?
Yep.
Yeah, put them right up there. I'll give you an idea yeah, there you go. I'm going to get another picture here, folks, of the man and the controls, okay.
Now, is something up here telling me where the tail is moving? Or
Nope.
what's going on?
Just the feel.
Just the feel.
What you've got right now is up elevator, so you would be going up right now. If you push the stick ahead a little bit, like that, there, right there is neutral. That's going down.
And the trigger here does what?
And you can move the aileron side to side at the same time. There you go. You can see the ailerons moving out on the wing.
Oh, yeah. This is truly a unique experience. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for being here.
And he's right. Let me just take a minute to emphasize how rare it is to connect an airplane to the airmen who flew it during the war. When I went to the Smithsonian for the first time to see my grandfather's airplane, the curator said that he can count on 2 hands the number of times someone has come forward with a personal connection to one of their aircraft. And he's been there 30 years. This is exciting stuff, people, and I am so overjoyed to be able to bring the rest of the families of the 18th Fighter Squadron to Minot to see the airplane. Awesome.
Big thumbs up there. All right.
Don Brooks eventually bought the P-40, and after many years of restoration, it finally came back to life in 2009. It was then sold a few more times until finally finding a home at the Dakota Territory Air Museum in Minot. Wow. I don't know. I'd never have the bravery to do that. To get in, fight, knowing what you're going in for. And that is why I do what I do. Because I know that I don't have the courage to do the same things that these young servicemen did. And it's because of that that I own the responsibility to tell their stories for those who no longer can. And I want to say a massive thank you to the Dakota Territory Air Museum and Warren and Jenna for opening your doors and allowing the Brocklehurst family to experience this special reunion. These are not just airplanes. These are living museum pieces, and they provide a way to connect to history unlike anything else. So it is important to support the warbird community because you're not just supporting them, you're supporting the stories behind the airplanes. If you know anyone who served in the 18th Fighter Squadron, or even just the 343rd Fighter Group, which would have been the 18th Fighter Squadron, 54th Fighter Squadron, or the 11th Fighter Squadron, or the 42nd Fighter Squadron, then please send them my way because we are having a reunion and I cannot wait to share this with other families. Now, I knew Bob Brocklehurst personally. He lived about 10 minutes from my house. If you want to learn more about Bob, then first watch this video on him flying a P-51 at 96 years old. If you are anywhere close to Minot, then going to the Dakota Territory Air Museum is worth the drive. They have an absolutely impressive collection. Make sure you get there. See you next week.